First and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there. And I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. And you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to recruit you, and our running back coach didn't take the test. biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, you're on, buddy.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial, the Martin Houston Show fan page on Facebook. It is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Monday morning. Despite a few storms from yesterday, things are moving right along this morning, and we're so glad that you've chosen to make us a part of your morning routine. I want to invite you to be a part of the program by giving us a like, giving us a follow on our social media outlets at Martin Houston 35 on social media, on the Twitter handle, and Martin Houston Live on Facebook. Give us a like, give us a follow, and chat us up over there. Be a part of the program as we move along. And also 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. The Taco Casa hotline is open for business. So we'd love to hear you this morning, what your thoughts are. A couple big questions out there. Who are the winners, the losers from the NFL draft? The takeaways that you may have can be Alabama specific. You may have a thought on some other team or some other aspect of the NFL draft. You can bring that to the conversation as well. And then, the good, bad, and ugly of the NFL draft. What's your thoughts? It can be any angle you want to take when it comes to the good, bad, and the ugly. A lot happened. Alabama setting records once again. Nick Saban, building his war chest of recruitment stories when it comes to in the common era. Nick Saban sets yet another record. So all of that is a part of the conversation. But before we get into that, reminding you, like we do each and every day, that this is a day that the Lord has made. So let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Got not necessarily a guest host, but I have a different producer with me today, Mr. James. How you doing, sir?
Good morning, Martin. How are you?
James Ludeman. I'm sorry. So make sure, because we're known to have one or two James on this station, Mr. Ludeman. So, man, what are you thinking? NFL draft done and over with. Do they drag this thing out too long, man?
No, I don't think so. I'm one of those guys that I love the draft. I love every aspect of it. I think it's great. I think Alabama, although I was a little surprised about Dylan Moses.
A little?
Well, okay, very.
Well, hey, let me tell you how surprised I am about it. I put up a Twitter question that says, is Dylan Moses going undrafted the most shocking? If Dylan Moses is going, most shocking draft story in Alabama football history.
I
So,
mean, I would agree with you. I think it's
God,
very surprising.
I mean, it's we're not talking about now that story itself. James is going to have some conversation behind it because to me that is the most shocking. I understand them not going in the first round. I understand them not going in the second round, maybe third, but I don't see how. He was ranked 115, which is top 3 rounds as far as overall prospect, and I get it. But when I see the number of linebackers taken, and when I saw uh, what made it even more shocking was he was still on the board, and I'm thinking Tampa Bay had the last pick. They're going to take him. They're going to take him. I mean, because it would be a great story, right? Great for your organization, great programming. Um, and they take a linebacker out of Houston. Craig Wooden said Dylan Moses was not the same player he was 2 years ago. No one's saying he should have been a first round pick. 2 years ago, he would have been a first round draft pick. Right, James?
Yeah, as the resident Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan here at the station, Martin, I will tell you I was a little surprised they didn't pick him, but I do know, and again, I'm not gonna sit here and make excuses for him because I know he's a great player, and I think wherever he ends up is going to be he's going to get signed. Absolutely, I think
He signed with the Jags. He's already signed.
Okay, so you're right. So
he signed almost immediately. Like the story, I think that give you kind of an inside scoop on what happens in the draft. I ended up signing as a free agent, but I almost was drafted in the 6th round, and then I was probably destined to be Mr. Irrelevant. And I'll tell you that story, James. Your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Sam White. Remember him?
I actually do remember Sam White.
He was the head coach there. The Steelers called me in the 6th round and said, we're going to draft you or Keith Wheeler, a tight end, with this pick. We've not decided, but we wanted to call you to let you know this is in the 6th round. And I had gotten calls before this as well that said, if we do not draft you, we're not going to draft a fullback, and we want you to be our fullback. But we may use this pick on you or a tight end, okay? Just based on by the time it gets to that pick, how many guys are still left at your position versus the tight end position, et cetera. And the NFL was kind of in a flux. That was the first year they went from 12 rounds down to 8 initially that year. And then the next year, I think they went down to 7. But so that I got that call. Then once that happened, man, I had calls between the 4th round and the final pick of the draft. I got calls from Green Bay, Dallas, Cincinnati, Cleveland. All of these schools all of these teams that already said, we want to sign you as a free agent. As soon as the draft is over, we're calling you back, okay? Well, it's the final pick. I just got off the phone with the Steelers, the Chiefs, which were my 2 teams that I wanted to go to first. I wanted to go to the Steelers because they ran a similar style offense to Alabama, and they use a fullback. Or I wanted to go to the Chiefs because Joe Montana had just went there, Marcus Allen was there, and they had just went to this 49er style offense, which is what Homer Smith had ran my first couple of years. So I was familiar with those 2 schemes, and I knew they used a fullback. Right after I got off the phone with those guys, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers called me, and they said, we want to make you our draft pick. but they had already drafted a fullback. So I'm making a business decision. This is where Mark made a marketing mistake, probably, James. if I'd been thinking about the money I could have made as Mr. Irrelevant for the rest of my life, I would have been a little more excited. But if you're 22 years old, 23 years old, what are you thinking? I'm gonna make it in NFL. I'm gonna play 10 years. I'm not worried about that, right? And they asked me, "Do you want to be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer?" And I hesitated because I knew I already had two great options, and I was not going to have to compete against a fullback that they were going to pay third round money to. That makes sense.
Does.
Yeah, and so I kind of hem-hawed a little bit, and I said, yeah, but he could tell I wasn't excited, and you could tell his voice changed on the phone. I hung up the phone. They've drafted somebody else, and as soon as the draft was over, all of the calls started coming back and saying, hey, are you going to sign? Are you going to sign? And I chose the Steelers, really wanted to go to the Chiefs, and the Chiefs had a miscommunication. They thought that the scout had called me, and scout thought that one of the position coaches had called me, and Coach Schottenheimer called me directly and said, we want you. We apologize that there was a misunderstanding, and they actually offered me third round signing bonus, but I'd already committed to the Steelers, so I didn't do it. But anyway, it's some other interesting stories that follow with that draft. But anyway, Dylan Moses, sidebar from that, kind of personal insight to how that worked. Dylan Moses, as soon as the draft was over, I got a story from, I can't remember, one of the sports apps that he had signed with the Jaguars. But Dylan Moses was not the same player. But I think Dylan Moses, to your point, James, is going to be a guy. If his knee heals up, he'll be that guy's good enough to be a Hall of Famer, not just good.
Well, that's the question I was going to ask you: is do you think that the knee injury was really the biggest?
Oh,
I mean, that to me is the only justification that
absolutely. That's exactly what it was. They said that they couldn't get any medical information on him. He's had a couple of injuries in high school and then in college and then this last season. The question, so we can get the break here, James, stay on track. The question I want you to think about during the break, as well as for my callers and listeners on and viewers on Facebook and social media, is this. Will the Dylan Moses saga be the catalyst, along with the fact that guys opted out in 2020, even though they had COVID reasons, they opted out and did not play. And some of them, because they tested well and they had great sophomore film, they still went in the first round. And some guys went in the second round ahead of guys like Dylan Moses, who would have last year, coming off of an injury, would have gone first or second round last year. But he came and put back film and showed that he was not the player he was the previous year as a sophomore. Will that combination of what happened with him, the fact that guys coming off injuries like a Waddle, who did not show whether or not he was all the way back 100% or not, and guys who totally missed a season of football but worked out, tested well, and had good film, still went in the first round. Will that lead to a trend that changes the NFL's idea of letting guys leave after their sophomore year? And or will more guys start opting out after their junior year? We'll have that conversation up next right here on the Martin Houston Show. Love to invite you to be a part of that conversation. 205-342-9904. The Taco Casa hotline is open for business right here on your home for Alabama Sports Tide 100.9.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, here we go on a Monday morning. No active wrecks, traffic light. Now, we do have some wet spots on the roadways from the overnight rain. Just drive carefully. If you see conditions, give us a call. Now's the time to trade in and trade up to a brand new Nissan at your hometown dealer. Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
Brought to you by John Deere. Run with us and find the mower that's right for you. Because lawns aren't just for mowing, they're for living. John Deere. Nothing runs like a deer.
Fear, guilt, indecision. These raw feelings are common when users witness an opioid overdose. As a bystander, fear and indecision may race through your mind, but it's vital that you call for help. Alabama's Good Samaritan Law protects those who act in good faith in situations like an opioid overdose. Find out more about Alabama's Good Samaritan Law at VitalAlabama.com.
Before the action begins, make sure your bets are in. Every hit.
This ball is crushed.
Every point.
Who they give it to? Touchdown!
Sportsbook at Golden Moon Casino revolutionizes the fan experience. On your phone, casino kiosk, at the Timeout Lounge. Don't just be a fan. Be a player. Be a winner. Get to Sportsbook at Golden Moon Casino. We're not just fans. We're here to play.
At Northport Auto Supply, we understand there's nothing worse than a dead battery. So to keep this from happening, be sure you periodically check your battery, including the terminals for corrosion. And if you ever need help, then come by Northport Auto Supply and let our knowledgeable professionals check your battery for free. Northport Auto Supply has the area's largest inventory of batteries in stock, and we'll even install it for you at no charge. Northport Auto Supply. Why go anywhere else?
Weather brought to you by Tidwell Chiropractic, the only third-generation chiropractor in Tuscaloosa with over 22 years experience. Call Tidwell Chiropractic at 752-7503.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Sky cloudy at times today and tonight. The chance of a few passing showers, maybe a thunderstorm in spots. The high today 83, tonight's low 70. Tomorrow mostly cloudy, a good chance of showers and strong thunderstorms by afternoon. The high 81. I'm James Pham of the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 69 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Sophomart Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at sophmartdesign.com.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
All right, back in 3, 2, 1.
All right, welcome back into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial, the Martin Houston Show fan page. Looking for your comments, your interaction. What's your good, bad, and ugly from the NFL draft? Any takeaways, winners, or losers that you want to talk about? You're welcome to bring that conversation in right now, 205-342-9904. Ellis Wheeler saying he should have stayed at Alabama. Interesting. Well, the question becomes, James, talking about Dylan Moses. If Dylan Moses stays at Alabama, is he the best two linebackers? You know, I mean, based on what maybe we're finding from the NFL, maybe we found last year a lot of people, complained about Dylan Moses' play last year. Craig Wooden said, honestly, I was extremely frustrated with him this last season, but I didn't know he was still injured. I think the pros saw a lack of aggressiveness in him that he had previously shown. He was no longer a thumper, and his skill and coverage were lacking. I like Dylan Moses as a person, and I was pulling for him in the draft. I don't know how many linebackers, James, were drafted. But Dylan Moses, to me, because of what he once was, is a guy that I probably would have took a chance on. Even if I felt like he was not the same player, I just cannot believe that there's 200, even though he didn't play at the level. Let me say it this way. If you had never seen Dylan Moses play in his first or second year, would you have been as critical of his season this past year?
It's tough. It's tough. And as far as the question goes that you just asked, I'm looking at, a guy like Christopher Allen and Christian Harris, and I love Dylan Moses. Don't get me wrong, but that's a hard time trying to, see if you can get up to that level of what we're going to have at the linebacker position moving forward.
Yeah, he did get it all SEC. So what did the coaches see that we're not? That the NFL didn't? If Dylan Moses why did he play? I mean, our streak ended. Going into this draft, Alabama had a DB drafted in 9 straight drafts before this, and a linebacker in 9 straight drafts. Of course, the DB streak continues, and we all made the assumption when I went off the air on Friday, I made the prediction that streak would continue too, because I felt no way. I'm going to tell you, I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed unless the knee. Here's the part that I think hurt him, James. They said they couldn't get medical information. And
that's weird.
What tells me, what that tells me is that when they went in to do that cleanup, that there was more damage.
That sounds shady to me.
That's the only thing I can think of is when they went in to do the cleanup, there was more damage, and Dylan took the thing of, I'm going to tell him it's my meniscus. Craig Wooden said Dylan played because of his intelligence and knowledge of the defense. Agree, Craig, and that's usually one of those things that gets you drafted. If you can play and learn and be the quarterback of Nick Saban's defense, that's usually a pretty good deal to get you at least selected somewhere late in the rounds for it. So there's something that you and I don't have privy to, James, Craig, others, with Dylan Moses. Because Dylan Moses, I don't care whether you love him, hate him, or whatever, and whether you're grading him, and some people say they're not grading him against his play the previous years. Yeah, you are. We are. I mean, we had an expectation for Dylan Moses as the kid he's been since he was in the 7th grade. We had that, James. We had what he had done for 2 previous years. We had all of the hype around him. You can't help but filter his performance last year through that. I mean, you can't help that, and that's normal. You can say you didn't, but you can't help but filter it through that. And the reality of it is, if you just saw that kid play last year and you had never seen him play before, and he went into the draft, you would say that you take that guy out of the top 259 players. I would love to know. Let me see how many linebackers were drafted. Hey, James, could you look that up for me? How many linebackers went in the draft? And if you were picking a team after you saw Dylan Moses play last year at Alabama in the SEC and knowing that he was injured, barring the fact that he's still injured and it's worse than we think, if that's the case, then you may not take him. But if you don't know any more than we know. Tell me you take all of these linebackers from all of these other schools, all of these small places over Dylan Moses. I find that hard to believe. Let's see what Pat has to say. Pat, you're in with the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning.
Good morning.
That's exactly what I wanted to talk about was Dylan's medicals. That
undoubtedly that he could still have a meniscus problem.
Well, that's what he had the surgery on.
Yeah, and that he's been playing through pain. I mean, he has said that. There's been some numerous articles that's come out about him playing through pain. As far as, because I think even at one point in time that he wanted to quit. And it's, and we know how wonderful he was. Hindsight's 2020. Hey, in high school, he was one of the most formidable running backs that's ever been on this planet. Would you not agree with that?
In high school?
Yeah.
Early on, I mean, when he was an 8th, 9th grader, but he played linebacker at IMG his last couple of years.
Yeah, but early on, when Nick offered him a scholarship way back, I'm talking about way back.
Yeah, I mean,
he was a great running back. Man, I mean, he was.
He could have been a great lineman in 8th grade when you're 6'2", 210 as a 13-year-old and you're faster than everybody on the field. He probably could have played anything, but yeah.
Anything, that's right. I mean, he was a great athlete.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And undoubtedly a great guy, Pat. Yeah, I mean, the guy has been in the limelight since he was in the 8th grade, 7th grade, and he's done it right. I just feel bad for him because he's not one of these guys he seems to be a good teammate. He seems to have kept his nose clean. He seemed to have done everything right except for the injury and how he handled it. Yeah. Last year, he should have left. He should have did like Waddle after an injury. Waddle showed that, hey, Waddle came back and limped through badly and still went, the first player off the board. Dylan Moses last year would have been a late first round, early second round guy based off of his junior, freshman, and sophomore film. But now they got more film on him that showed he had lost some of his ability. And then he had to have another surgery, Pat. So, and like I said, undoubtedly when they got in, it's more there than what we know about because the meniscus is not that big of a deal for an injury unless it caused more damage.
Yeah, a few months of meniscus, you were able to recoup, and get back pretty good too.
Yeah,
and I just think it's going to be that with a year of recovery, that he could turn into one of the best linebackers. That
occasionally I make bold predictions, Pat. If Dylan Moses can be healthy, Dylan Moses will be one of the better linebackers. And I was almost bold enough to say one of those Heisman, a Hall of Fame type of career. So, but I don't know the injury piece yet.
Hope so.
I hope so too.
Prayers for the young man.
Yep.
And I'm thanking for his time here at Alabama.
Absolutely.
And he made me some special memories.
And Pat, I'm telling you, watch the conversation change because of guys like Dylan Moses, who if he had left out this sophomore year, he would have been a consensus first rounder, maybe a top 15 pick. But because he had to come back because of the NFL rule, he's now an undrafted free agent. So,
it he has to come back and said he's got to wait 3 years.
Well, that means he had to. That's my point. He didn't have to play, but there was prior to the last couple of years, there was no information that teams that teams will not draft you. There was no information that showed that was not true. Well, now there's plenty of information. 7 guys, I think, went in the first round that did not play last year.
Exactly my point, and that could decimate a college team.
Well, it's gonna happen because I mean I'm not worried about the college team. I'm for the players in this case. If if you Pat are good enough to if you're good enough to get a job, you don't have to wait to get a job if you're good enough to get a job.
That's true, Martin, but there's only 250 something spots.
No,
And then plus,
well, it's actually see that's a misnomer, Pat. There's actually 0 spots. You know, every NFL team going into the draft has 53 guys on their roster.
Yeah,
So every kid that was drafted yesterday, there's somebody that job they will have to take to make a team. So there's a misnomer that there's 259 jobs, that there's vacancies. My point is they have a rule that says you can't apply to a job until you've been out of school for 3 years. I think that could change potentially. I got to go. I know I got Tom holding on the other line. Tom, please hold through the break. Thanks, Pat. Coming back on the other side, we'll continue the conversation regarding Dylan Moses, good, bad, and ugly. We got to get to good, bad, and ugly. At least one of the goods. It shows you the power of perspective. I'll tell you what story we're talking about on the other side. More conversation right here on your home for Alabama Sports, the Martin Houston Show, presented by the great folks over at Alabama One Credit Union. If you're looking for a great mortgage, you're looking to get into that home, well, right now they have a promotion going right now that you need to take it full advantage of. That's Alabama One. Go to alabama1.org. Click on the banner. It says big dreams, bigger savings, up to $2,000 cash back. No admin and processing fees. You're going to receive all of these benefits with award-winning local service. And once you get that home, Alabama One Insurance is right there waiting to insure it, as well as any of your other assets, including yourself. Check out alabama1.org or alabama1insurance.com.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no problems on the roadways on this Monday morning. Traffic moving well, no accidents or delays. If you do see conditions, just give us a call, 205-886-8886. Now's the time to trade in and trade up to a brand new Nissan at Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard right next door to Alabama One, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
If you're in HR, you're probably wearing a lot of hats. Recruiter, team builder, trainer, mediator, policymaker, and of course, paper pusher. But not anymore. Bamboo HR is the #1 HR software for small and medium businesses. It manages all your employee data easily and automates countless tasks, so you can focus on people, not paperwork. Bamboo HR frees you from spreadsheets, so you can do your real job, creating a great place to work. If the data shuffle and paperwork mountain have you ready to hang up all your hats, you're ready for Bamboo. If you handle HR records and paperwork, Bamboo HR is a dream. Let us free up your time and put your days of pushing paperwork behind you, so you can focus on the people and making your company a great place to work for everyone. Try PC Magazine's top pick for HR software free today. Just go to bamboohr.com/panda. This is a limited offer only available to radio listeners at bamboohr.com/panda. That's bamboohr.
on it. And Coach Wooden said, it's what you learn after you think you know it all that makes the difference. What am I talking about? Leadership and personal development. Is your organization, your school, your church, your family, are they receiving the proper level of leadership development and personal development? If not, the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring can help you with that. We have our pep talks, which is a 1 to 1.5 hour lunch and learn, which we can customize to meet your needs, or we have some topics that we present that we know can help your organization. And if you're looking for one-on-one mentoring and coaching, we can also assist you with that. Visit peptalks35.com. That's peptalks35.com, or send an email to martin@martinhouston.org. That's the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. Got a lot to get to, man. Days like today, never enough time, but we can carry these topics on because it's not like a 1 hour show that's in and of itself. It's just 5 hours a week of talking. We just take a break, 23 hours between each show. So if you have a topic that we don't get to and you think we've moved on, just bring it back up the next day. You can do that because this is the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports, your show, talking about your team. So let's continue the conversation. Tom's been patient. Tom, you in with the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, Martin. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm doing well.
Good. I want to bring this up about Dylan. And it's somewhat a stroke of bad luck for him on being injured in the first place, and then sustaining a second injury on the meniscus. But point through all this was the thing with the draft was that the coach with the Jags, Urban Meyer, is very familiar with Dylan's history from high school all the way through. And I think he was one of the recruiters of Dylan back in the day. But anyway, as soon as they signed him as a free agent, they put him on IR with non-football injury. And I think that what Coach Myers knows is this: if he is able to come back to the tune that like Dante Hightower did, he's got one of the better linebackers in the league.
Yes.
And that's what I think is going to happen. I think that Dylan is going to rehab that thing. It won't be any OTA for him or anything like that. And he may even be late going into fall camp with the Jags. But something's going on because it was quick, and then immediately they put him on IR. And I wanted to get your take on that, but I do believe they know what they got if Dylan is 100% healthy.
Well, see, and this is a misunderstanding that a lot of the everyday fans may or may not know. One question was asked: Craig Wooden asked, was he put on the PUP list, physically unable to perform or to play? You say IR with non-football related injury. Doesn't matter whichever way it is. When that happens as a player, you go on to workman's comp, and unless there's been a change, they cannot cut you when you're on workman's comp. Okay, so Curtis Moore, like if he is on the PUP, there's a chance he might make the roster, being that he was an undrafted free agent. Actually, it ensures that he makes the roster. He's not on the 53-man roster, but he's on that roster list that he's listed on. And until he's physically able to come back and practice again, he is not injured. And I will use myself as an example just so you know how it works. I got hurt the Tuesday before the final cut. And they could not cut me, but I knew I lost all desire to play. I had, it was a kneecap slipping out, and it had happened the summer before I went up there, and I had done my research, and once it starts happening, it's a continuous thing, Tom. Unless you do some surgery, and I had already had a degree, had a job with Bob Baumhauer, so I just decided I didn't want to play anymore. So I went and sat down with Coach Coach Cower of the Steelers, and said, listen, when my leg is rehabilitated, I do not want to play football anymore. So would you be willing to let me go back to Tuscaloosa, pay me until I'm rehabbed? I'll work out a relationship with the trainer here in Tuscaloosa and a trainer with the Steelers, and they will monitor it, hold me accountable, so that you know that I'm rehabbing. And in that way, you can cut me, but you're still going to pay me. And then you can go ahead and fill my spot on your roster for somebody for the summer. If you have a player, or they would have had to keep me on the roster. And so what Urban Meyer has done, as you said, is brilliant. He got a first round talent if it returns, and he's going to get him as a free agent. But he's going to probably give him this entire offseason and a year to do that. So don't even. I would even be surprised if maybe they may get him there and push him some more and see if he gets back, Tom. But I would not be surprised if they don't let him have a whole year.
Yeah, me too. That's what I was thinking, because the baseline on this situation is Urban Meyer knows Dylan Moses, and like I said, from back in recruiting days at high school and college and everything. And I guarantee you this: Urban Meyer's had a conversation with Coach Saban.
I guarantee you, Dylan Moses' phone was lighting up. Everybody that made their last draft, Tom, every team that made their last draft and didn't take him called him or attempted to call him. And that's maybe why he ended up with the Jags, because as soon as the Jags didn't, they said, Dylan, here's the deal we're offering you. If you do not sign the draft, this is the deal we're offering you. Urban Meyer was probably smart enough to know Nick Saban probably had talked to him, and they probably had offered Dylan, hey, listen, we'll give you a year. We'll give you this money. Don't be surprised if Dylan Moses will probably make more money than some of the draft picks on his contract.
That was going to be my next question to you. When you really get down to it, it was better for Dylan to get this deal than it was go in the last round of the draft or be the last person taken. And that's what I was thinking the whole time on Dylan, is that, but plus Dylan is smart. And I guarantee he had all these things, these scenarios. He had already thought about all those anyway. And I always felt it was going to be free agency. But I don't understand how that works. But I always thought it would be free agency because of what you just said. And that is, sometimes that's the best deal out there.
It was the best deal for me. Once it got to like the last 10 drafts, there was none of the last 10 spot. I already had several deals worked out that if I did not get drafted by any of the teams, I worked it out with the two teams that I thought I had the best chance of making the roster. The Kansas City Chiefs actually offered me third round money, I said earlier in the show, as well as told me if I didn't make it because I did not have an agent and I represented myself, they actually offered me. They said, if you don't make it, we'll hire you in our marketing department. So, I mean, the stuff that they offer and the deals that they can make as a free agent, you look at where you fit, and maybe this is the best thing that happened to Dylan for him to make a team. But to say I'm hearing people say they're surprised. Dylan Moses was the 115th ranked prospect in the draft. Okay.
Let me ask you this. This deal that Dylan took, isn't that don't that really give him more time to get his body right before he's actually any pressure is put on him to make the team?
Absolutely. Yeah. If the other teams had not.
But that to me, that's the whole key.
Oh, absolutely. If he doesn't have to go out, let me tell you, Tom, once again, and around the draft, not using myself to make the show about me, but just giving you how quickly it works. When the draft was over, like I said, the Steelers called. A bunch of teams that called, but I was talking to the Steelers, was hoping to hear from the Chiefs. Didn't hear from the Chiefs. Made the deal with the Steelers. Right after I made that deal with the Steelers, they said, we'll call you back in about 30 minutes or so. We'll have someone in our department call you back and get you scheduled to fly up. And then the Chiefs called me back. And then and I talked to them. They offered to get Derek Thomas on the phone with me. They got my position coach on the phone with me. And then Schottenheimer called me. And I just said, I'm not going to break my word. I already committed to the Steelers. I'm going there. When I hung up with the Chiefs, they called me back. The Steelers called me back. I was on a plane the next morning and practiced that afternoon. So yes, if you're not in shape and ready to play, like literally the day after the draft, I practiced. So like after Sunday, I flew up. Monday, I practiced. That's the way it would have worked out. So if you were not in shape and ready when the draft rolled around, it was too late. So anyway,
Thanks, Martin.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate that. All right. A lot of this has been about Dylan Moses today, and I'm okay with that. We'll get back to more of the draft as we talk throughout this week. When you only have an hour, there's only so much you can get to. I am going to give one of the great stories of the 2021 draft. I'm going to talk about that on the other side, so you want to stay tuned for that conversation. You're good, bad, and ugly. What is it? Greg Wooden said, Waddle good, bad Zach Wilson. I don't see it. And the ugly Dylan Moses in going undrafted. More conversation up next right on the Martin Houston Show.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no problems on the roadways on this Monday morning. Traffic moving well, no accidents or delays. If you do see conditions, just give us a call, 205-886-8886. Now's the time to trade in and trade up to a brand new Nissan at Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread. Good morning. Strong thunderstorms turned severe Sunday afternoon, even dropping a fall cloud that touched down several times across Greene County. Sumter, Greene, Pickens, and Tuscaloosa counties spent time under a tornado warning. No injuries or property damage reported. There is a slight risk for Bibb, Perry, and eastern portions of Hale and Marengo counties today, a marginal risk elsewhere in West Alabama. In sports, Bama baseball swept Missouri at the Joe this weekend, while the softball team swept Georgia in Athens. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. If you're looking for a way to add value to your home, make your flower beds pop, make your landscaping stand out from your neighbors, then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help you do just that. They have numerous styles, but they feature the Moroccan Stone Curb Series, which includes 4 great styles and unlimited color choices. That's Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. They are the one that can help you stand out from your neighbors. Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, 205-331-6823. You may also find yourself with the need for a custom size stone or custom shaped stone. Then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help with that as well. Paul Fuller and his team are waiting on your call right now for that free quote. And if you tell them that Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show told you to stop by, you'll get a big discount So call Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing at 205-331-6823 or visit them online at Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing LLC.
Gotta finish this today.
Cristiano's construction projects typically run smoothly, but this
All right,
project's
Mark,
pipeline is about to burst.
Five-ish.
Your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Let Spa Bella Vie pamper her this Mother's Day. Give her a gift card that she can use for any of her favorite products and services, including massages, facials, laser hair removal, manicures, pedicures, micropeels, and more. She deserves to be pampered this Mother's Day. Let her rejuvenate her mind and body with a gift card from Spa Bella Vie. Locally owned by board-certified plastic surgeon Dr. Ross Bunch in the Falls at North River. Call 349-0046. Online at SpaBellaVie.com.
Tuscaloosa Gunsmith is moving soon to their new location at 1605 23rd Avenue behind the fire station just off 15th Street in the same location as Tuscaloosa Locksmith.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
You can't touch this.
All right, you're on.
Welcome back in. It's now time for us to wrap up this Monday edition of the Martin Houston Show, Mashup Monday. Mostly been about Dylan Moses, but let's see what Robert from Mobile has. Robert, you're in with the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind, sir?
Well, first of all, I need to find out who do we need to lobby to get you more time during the week.
I appreciate that.
Hey, what we knew, the player Dylan Moses was off, that it would cost, drop him in the draft.
Right.
None of us expected it to be not picked at all. That was kind of a surprise there.
Yeah.
So somebody, give him a shot, at least with a pick. And so that was really bad. Hopefully Alabama will change that. Our linebacking play over the last couple of years has not been to where, NFL level talent, these first rounds.
Yeah, I think Christian Harris is going to take care of that this year.
We got to get it. We have to get it back again, so we can. That's where we used to do. That's why defense becomes most dominant. Is that the linebacking core is first round talent.
Right.
Good. That's when they get the rest. They're nasty. So hopefully we get that back again. Heard you. They're Pat talking again also with all the Denver players that didn't play but got drafted first round.
Yes.
That does set a precedence that. I understand what you're saying about, what about the players? It's, it's unfair that, if you're good enough for a job, you should be able to start a job whenever somebody thinks you're ready for it. But there's a thing as the whole, if it happens too often, then the brand of the college football may drop to this point to where fans start to lose interest.
Well, it's the NFL that does it. It's not the college.
Right. Well, the NFL, they benefit from college, as like we always said. You have your free minor league that you don't.
Right. And you just nailed why the NFL does not want it to happen. They do not want it to happen because they get to keep these kids in college for 3 years while someone else grows them through the growing pain, teaches them. Man, I mean, could you imagine as an NFL? Think about a Major League Baseball team having a Nick Saban coaching their baseball team in the minor leagues.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what the NFL has.
Yeah, it is a win-win. And again, we have to be careful with you like to empower the worker and the people, but you do that if you do that to the point that the company or the group is starts to wane or starts to lose popularity or whatever. Well, then you defeated it. And that's the NBA is a good case in point of it.
Yeah.
Because of too much power to the players, the NBA's ratings have tanked to 17 levels, so that's not good either.
Yeah. I agree. I'm just saying that the NFL is when it benefits them, they do it. but they hurt themselves with this year's draft because now it's going to be awful hard for them because they're going to be taking more risk if guys start sitting out. To your point, if guys start sitting out, and then they may end up being forced to change the rule. So we'll pick that conversation up more. Robert, you got anything else for us real quick?
No, I'm good, man. Catch you later.
Thank you, sir. Hey, I didn't get to this, but I want you to think about this. The NFL draft is come and gone, and the Thomas Fletcher story may be the greatest response ever in a draft pick, unexpected phone call, almost to the point that you think he's being pranked. But kudos to Thomas Fletcher, long snapper. First one in the Nick Saban era to be drafted. Not signed, but be drafted. Congratulations to him. If I'm not mistaken, Tinker, I can't remember if Tinker was drafted or just signed with the Jags or not post the tornado. But anyway, congratulations to Thomas Fletcher. Great story, and more for him to come. We'll talk more about that story as well as the NFL draft on tomorrow, and we'll join DC Capstone. I'm Martin Houston. That's James Ludeman. This is the Martin Houston Show. Join us on tomorrow for more conversation. Thanks, callers, listeners, viewers, and fans. Trust in the Lord always. Lean not your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Roll Tide.
It's a celebration. Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show.
Thanks,
your
man.
home for Alabama
Appreciate
sports.
it.
Tide
Talk to you tomorrow.
100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.